Okay, it looks like we're live. It's a lot easier to work than it was with Rumble. Okay, we got, hello Phil. Hello Phil, you're here. I see a few others here. And boy, it's heating up around the world right now, isn't it? And I don't mean global warming. We had a major attack on Russia. Well, you probably caught that already. It's been going on. It's been on the media news since, I don't know, probably 5 hours, 6 hours now. The Russian bombers were whacked. It was Ukraine hit them with drones. 41 strategic long-range bombers destroyed or damaged. What a setback. 4 bases were hit. Roughly $2.2 billion in damages because they also hit a naval base, a nuclear sub. They hit one of those. And there was 3 railroads destroyed, 2 bridges come down on trains, and 1 the tracks were blown up. Not sure if there's more stuff going on yet. As we're here, I don't know. That there could be. This could be ongoing. I don't know if they're going to pull back. Pretty sure Russia's going to retaliate somehow on this. We don't know how heavy the retaliation will be and how they're going to do it, but it's not good. There's Faye and Lynn. So yeah, that's these drones, apparently they were hidden in trucks. They had false tops on the trucks, and they were remotely activated. So what they got them into Russia, and without being detected inside, and apparently they could remotely open the tops on the trucks on the I don't know if they're just on the box. I don't think it was a C can. I think it was actually a trailer, and they could open the top, and then the drones come out. Apparently, I've been seeing they were controlled by AI. And they had their targets where to go to, and they did a lot of damage. So I don't think any of them missed, and they hit bases way up by Siberia. These are long ways away. Somehow they got all those trucks in there. The drones didn't look that big either. They looked to be like not a military style drone. They weren't your off-the-shelf drones, but they looked to be, I don't know, a guy held one up that he said was pretty close to the size. It looked to be about 2 foot square, so it's not very big. And apparently they were I guess maybe in like a cassette, so once it opened up it just emptied. So it's a lot going on there, and I don't know if you've seen any videos. Phil, how many drones and containers in Vancouver Harbor? Well, we're just kind of wondering that too. This, let's see if I can do this without screwing things up. Let's see. I've got to. I want to bring up this video. And I'll see if I can get it up here. It's this one here. This is it here. So I'll switch the audio over and we'll give it a go. For some reason, I'm not getting audio on it, so I'm not going to bother. Anyways, we can see what's going on here. I'll just run it. So these are their drones coming in. They didn't miss any. They got lots of them. Everyone on there, they were all lined up. They brought them in for safety. They brought them farther into Russia, deeper into Russia for safety. And it didn't work out for them, apparently. So, and Mr. Magoo is a lot bigger than Ukraine could come up with. Yeah, I know, I'm thinking the same thing. I'm wondering if it's U.S., NATO. I know that Trump had made comments to Putin that after he hit Kyiv and another city there that he shouldn't have done that. So, anyways, my suspicions are that, yeah, I think there are other countries involved. So you see that little drone just fly by there. That's not very big. So that's basically all they're going to be showing is a lot of smoke and all the damage that was done, right? Now, hey Emma, Sharp. So I'm going to pause that, but I want to go to this page here. This is where this shows our Canadian troops where they're stationed, and they're scattered pretty good over right along the Russian border. And I think like we're in Estonia, Latvia. I'm not sure. I see we're in the ocean just off of Sweden and just below Finland. Finland borders on Russia, of course. And we are in Bulgaria. We got Ireland. We're in through the Middle East, Africa. We're in the Mediterranean. See, that's got to be a ship there, and we're out here in the Indian Ocean, I think, or close to it. So we are we are scattered pretty good around the countryside. Around the world. So I don't even know if the troops have got ammunition, or if they've got getting their meals covered now, or if they got helmets, or if they're just in running shoes and walkie-talkies, or what we're equipped with, but I know it's not very much. Emma, we used to think Estonia was a make-believe country before computers. Yeah, I met people from Estonia that migrated here, good people. Phil, Fred, you remember Billy Meyer prediction for Canada 2025? No, I don't, Phil, I don't remember that. So we've got this stuff that I was getting ready for this live stream. Kind of actually ties in with this. It was kind of surprising when this all broke today on the news. I was looking at this from Sam Cooper, and this came out 2 days ago, so there's been a lot of people covered this on the internet. But I'm just going to go over it quickly. It's just an article here Phil, he's accurately predicted world events. He predicted war in Canada in 2025. Well, he might not be wrong there, right? The Trudeau government unlawfully halted CSIS foreign operation, endangering officers and damaging Canada's standing with allies, the review finds. An explosive intelligence review indicates that senior political actors surrounding Prime Minister Justin Trudeau unlawfully intervened in a high-risk Canadian Security Intelligence Service operation targeting foreign threats abroad in coordination with allied nations. A politicized act that placed Canadian operatives in immediate danger and inflicted lasting damage on the country's international reputation and trust among intelligence partners. Well, I was thinking, well, why would they do that? Like, why would they pull a stunt like that? According to the redacted report released Thursday by the National Security Intelligence Review Agency, I'm just going to call this NSIRA, just to make it easier here to get through this. The order to halt the operation was the result of political level discussions and first came from the National Security and Intelligence Advisor to the Prime Minister to the Director of CSIS. This chain of command suggests that the halt originated in the Prime Minister's office, not from the CSIS Director or Public Safety Minister as required under the CSIS Act. This latest blow to Canada's intelligence integrity, suggesting the inappropriate politicization of national security operations, comes amid growing tensions with key allies. In recent months, senior Trump administration official Peter Navarro reportedly raised the possibility of removing Canada from the Five Eyes intelligence alliance, the historic intelligence sharing partnership founded among allied nations during the Second World War. Now, I wonder if this had anything to do with the names of the 11 traitors in the Liberal Party. Were they getting too close to these 11? So Trudeau pulled the plug and said, no, shut it down. This is just my suspicion. I don't know. But it seems awful funny that all got covered up and this was shut down. The NSIRA review was triggered in September of 2022. Well, that's getting pretty close around those dates. It was just after that, wasn't it, I believe? It'd be 2023 when this hit the fan, and that was the fall of 2022. It says, when then Public Safety Minister Marco Mendicino requested an examination of whether CSIS and his department had fulfilled their legal responsibilities. Both Prime Minister Trudeau and Mendicino, have already faced scrutiny in a separate RCMP external review, which raised questions about whether their government inappropriately politicized national security responses during the so-called Freedom Convoy protests that descended on Ottawa during the pandemic. NSIRA's months-long investigation into the foreign operation suggests a disturbing pattern. A CSIS mission was suspended or delayed midstream, possibly for partisan or diplomatic reasons, without legal authority. The intervention endangered CSIS personnel, disrupted the agency's mandate to protect Canada from serious threats, and damaged intelligence cooperation with international allies. In other words, he made a hot mess out of everything. For what reason? It's got to be to protect those 11 traitors. Actually, Trudeau and 10 traitors. I'll put it that way. I still think he was top of the list. May never find that out, but I still believe he was at number one. And Sarah found that the decision to halt this active CSIS operation, redacted, was not made by the CSIS director under Section 1 of the CSIS Act, for which there is no written record of a direction coming from the Minister of Public Safety under the CSIS Act. The review concluded, moreover, redacted, to halt his active operation created unnecessary danger for the CSIS team, redacted, and caused harm to Canada's international reputation. A strikingly similar pattern, the Globe and Mail has reported from Canadian military sources that then Defence Minister Harjit Sajjan That's the Minister of Stolen Valor, right? Allegedly pressured Canadian Special Forces during the fall of Kabul in 2021 to prioritize the rescue of Afghan Sikhs, individuals not considered operational priorities at the time. So I'm not going to go farther through that article. I just want to touch on this one. It's been covered online quite a bit. But this one came out today. And this one was when I get a little bit... I started thinking about sleeper cells in Canada and United States. There's been a lot of action on our border, on the U.S. northern border, and a lot of Asians have been getting through into the U.S. along with Middle East. So neither one are desirables when they're breaking the law in two countries. Even though they were brought in by the federal government of Canada, they weren't, I'd say they weren't vetted. It was a big rush to get people in. So it's just too obvious. And I think the U.S. could be in a bad position, and Canada too, because actually I'm going to go into this article. And it's another one by Sam Cooper, and it's just quote today. I just received this a few hours ago. So he put this out 8 hours ago, actually. There was a British businessman indicted for alleged arms trafficking to China, referring to Xi Jinping as the boss. Yeah. Wisconsin, in a globe-trotting case that evokes a Jason Bourne plotline set against real-world warnings from Pentagon leaders of an imminent Chinese invasion of Taiwan. You keep hearing that all the time. China's going to go in. A British businessman has been indicted for allegedly attempting to smuggle advanced U.S. military technology to China while referring to Chinese President Xi Jinping as the boss. Federal prosecutors allege that John Miller, 63, conspired with Chinese national, I'm not sure how to pronounce this first name, C-U-I, I'm just going to say Sui Guanghai. I'll just say Guanghai, 43, to acquire and covertly export some of the U.S. military's most sensitive defense hardware for reverse engineering by the Chinese Communist Party. The scheme allegedly involved encrypted communications, multi-continent spycraft, and a brazen campaign to intimidate dissidents inside the United States. Gee, just almost like our election, with the Conservative candidate for the election. And anyways, he was intimidated. Tay, I think it was Joseph Tay. Yeah. Then they got his family over in Hong Kong. A grand jury unsealed the U.S. Department of Justice alleges the pair targeted restricted equipment, including an advanced cryptographic device with its crypto ignition key, Black Hornet surveillance micro-drones, Stinger missile systems, an AGM-88E anti-radiation missile. Wow, air defense radar components, night vision goggles, and U.S. standard armored vehicle plating. In intercepted conversations, Miller allegedly claimed the Chinese government was willing to pay 2 to 3 times the value of the equipment to enable reproduction in Chinese military labs. Just got to follow the money, folks. People will sell out the country for actually not a lot of money. Who knows? I mean, sure. I mean, with the devaluing of the dollar, whatever they're getting paid. You know what I mean? Miller's reference to Xi Jinping as the boss, FBI agents say, indicated his awareness that he was acting at the direction and control of the Chinese government. Court documents detail how the two men solicited the procurement of these systems for unlawful export, working with individuals identified in court filings as Individual 5 and Individual 6. Miller and Sui allegedly explored ways to move the cryptographic device out of the U.S. through covert means, using methods reminiscent of trade-based money laundering and drug trafficking schemes previously identified by Canadian police investigators describing Chinese Communist Party-linked operations in Vancouver, Canada. The indictment says the men planned to conceal the device inside everyday electronics in a blender, small electronics, or a motor starter, and ship it first to Hong Kong. Sui and Miller allegedly paid approximately $10,000 as a deposit via courier and wire transfer to a U.S. bank account. Miller, a dual UK and St. Kitts and Nevis citizen, is also described as residing in the United States. Yeah, he's going to be residing there a long time. His passport profile and international activity matched the kind of cross-border spycraft now alleged in the case. He was arrested in April of 2025 in Belgrade, Serbia, during an FBI-coordinated sting. But the plot extended beyond arms trafficking. Prosecutors allege Miller and Sui orchestrated an intimidation campaign targeting a Los Angeles-based artist critical of Xi Jinping and the Chinese Communist Party. In 2023, the men had allegedly hired operatives who turned out to be undercover FBI agents to track the dissidents' movements, slash their tires, and destroy politically provocative artwork portraying Xi and his wife, Peng Liyuan. When the artist later announced plans to unveil new sculptures in 2025, Miller and Sui allegedly paid $36,500 to another set of undercover agents to pressure the dissident into canceling the event. The defendants allegedly plotted to harass and interfere with an individual who criticized the actions of the People's Republic of China while exercising their constitutionally protected free speech rights within the United States of America, said FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino. The same individuals also are charged with trying to obtain and export sensitive U.S. military technology to China. If convicted, Miller and Sui face decades in prison under multiple counts, including conspiracy, arms export violations, smuggling, and interstate stalking. As previously reported by the Bureau, that's Sam Cooper's organization, Serbian authorities arrested Miller and Sui following a U.S. request and the unsealing of a separate criminal complaint detailing the harassment plot. According to those filings, beginning in October of 2023, the pair actively recruited U.S.-based operatives to surveil and sabotage the dissident ahead of Xi Jinping's visit to San Francisco for the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, the APEC summit. Unbeknownst to the conspirators, the individuals they believed to be hired muscle, identified in court as Individual 1 and Individual 2, were working under FBI direction. Sui and Miller allegedly instructed them to install a GPS tracker on the dissident's vehicle, destroy politically sensitive artwork, and disrupt planned protests during Xi's visit. The case bears striking similarities to another Bureau-reported incident involving the destruction of Mojave Desert art installation titled CCP Virus, which portrayed Xi Jinping's face morphing into the COVID-19. Same thing. In that case, U.S. authorities uncovered a sprawling conspiracy with links to the United Nations and China's Front Work Department. The plot implicated corrupted U.S. law enforcement officers and private investigators allegedly working for a Chinese tech magnate based in Hong Kong. That operation exposed how U.S. citizens motivated by greed, ideological alignment, or thrill-seeking acted as enforcers for Beijing's repression. Funded through offshore bounties and wire transfers to target Chinese regime critics on American soil. The Miller-Sui operation unfolded amid similar tensions during November 2023 APEC summit in San Francisco, where pro-democracy activists and pro-Beijing groups clashed violently. Demonstrators accused Chinese-backed operatives of coordinating assaults at the airport, Moscone Center, and St. Regis Hotel. Tibetan student activists, Hong Kong democracy supporters, members of the Chinese Democracy Party reported injuries from attacks involving flagpoles, metal rods, and pepper spray. Li Delong, a senior figure in the Chinese Democracy Party's Los Angeles committee, told reporters he was physically assaulted while holding a protest banner near the summit venue. Another Hong Kong activist interviewed by the Bureau described being stunned as uniformed police stood by while apparent thugs threatened U.S. citizens in broad daylight. Sounds like Canada. The brazenness of these scenes and the scale of the alleged criminal conspiracy now emerging in federal court reinforces patterns first seen in the CCP virus case. Together they raise a deeply urgent question for Western intelligence services with arms traffickers and regime enforcers allegedly operating on behalf of Beijing inside the United States, while simultaneously targeting critics of Xi. What happens if the worst-case scenario unfolds? If the People's Liberation Army invades Taiwan, this is where I was thinking, will fifth column networks in North America be activated? The question has taken on a fresh urgency. As reported Saturday by the Bureau, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth used his address at the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore to deliver a stark warning. The threat of a Chinese assault on Taiwan is real and could be imminent. Finally, we are preparing for war in order to deter war, to achieve peace through strength, Hegseth said. Any attempt by Communist China to conquer Taiwan by force will result in devastating consequences for the Indo-Pacific and the world. There's no reason to sugarcoat it. The threat China poses is real and could be imminent. So, yeah, the fifth column, sleeper cells. But it's not just Chinese. We got East Indian. Well, I won't say East Indian, sorry. I misspoke there. I will say Islamic sleeper cells. But they're not so sleepy either. They seem to be right out in the streets screaming and hollering and praying and threatening. And of course, Israel is preparing for a strike on Iran because it's just come out now that Iran has enriched uranium enough for nuclear missiles. And Israel said, we're not going to let you go ahead and arm those missiles. So they expect to be in there. Supposed to be either this weekend or by tomorrow, by Monday. Let's just see what happens there. So, that's a little bit, just a little bit that's been going on here the last couple of days. So there's no shortage of stuff to be looking at. Now, Zelensky, this article here is another one by Sam Cooper. I forgot I had this one. How long is this one? This one's not too bad. It's about half the length of the other one, so I'm gonna go at it here. It says we'll be in the history books. Zelensky hails long-range drone strike that hit dozens of Russian bombers. Borderline insane, analyst warns American military must prepare as Ukraine's deep strike signals China could launch similar attacks from U.S. ports in event of war over Taiwan. Right there from the U.S. ports. What is sitting in the containers in the U.S. ports? You know, what's been dropped off there? You know how busy the ports are. It could be stuff that just shoved off to the side. You don't know what's going on there. It might be a good thing that we don't know. That was They were sea cans on trucks is what they were. I just seen the image there in Russia. They had sea cans on flatbeds on trucks. In the most daring covert action of the war, Ukraine says it has destroyed or severely damaged more than 40 Russian long-range strategic aircraft in a meticulously planned drone assault that struck 4 military air bases deep inside Russian territory. Campaign known as Operation Spider's Web marks a stunning escalation in Ukraine's asymmetric warfare strategy, and what some analysts are calling a historic reversal that could tilt the odds in peace negotiations against the larger aggressor. They're supposed to have peace talks tomorrow, I think. I can't see that happening. The mission, overseen by Ukraine's security service, the SBU, personally authorized President Volodymyr Zelensky, reportedly took more than 18 months to prepare. SBU operatives smuggled first-person view drones into Russia hidden inside wooden mobile cabins mounted on civilian cargo trucks. When activated remotely, the truck's roofs opened and the drones launched directly at parked Russian bombers. This was our most long-range operation, Zelensky posted on Sunday on X, noting the assault involved only Ukrainian forces. Wink, wink, nod. 1 year, 6 months, and 9 days from the start of planning to execution. These are Ukrainian actions that will undoubtedly be in history books if there's a Ukraine left. The strikes hit 4 air bases far from the front lines: Belaya Air Base in Irkutsk Oblast, Olenya in Murmansk near the Arctic Circle. I can't pronounce this other one. It was in Ryazan Oblast and Ivanovo in central Russia. According to Ukrainian intelligence sources cited by the BBC, the damaged assets included a Tu-95 and a Tu-22M3 nuclear-capable strategic bombers, as well as an A-50 airborne early warning and control aircraft. Estimated damage exceeds $2 billion US. Anyways, that just goes on to describe what is in the videos. Lots of smoke, lots of damage. The timing of the drone assault just ahead of the second round of peace talks in Istanbul on Monday appears aimed at pressuring Moscow. Zelensky has demanded a complete and unconditional ceasefire, while Russian officials are calling for a halt to Western arms transfers to Ukraine, a condition Kyiv rejects. A reminder, given today's Ukrainian drone strikes, that is becoming borderline insane that we routinely allow ships owned and operated by DoD designated Chinese military companies to sit in our ports with thousands of containers on board and under their control, Shugart posted Sunday afternoon, referencing mounting U.S. tensions with China over its aggression toward Taiwan. So yeah, these ships sitting in port with containers on them. So, Liquid gal. All Western countries that have been invaded by illegals should send the illegals to Ukraine to help rebuild. Oh yeah. That has been ongoing over there for years now, and it's just turned into an even hotter mess than it was prior to today. So if I was just reading Phil's comment there. Hey Lawrence, how's it going, man? Yeah. Now, a funny thing happened after talking that last week there about the AI and the dangers of AI. Well, what just happened here? I gotta bring it up over here. There's an incident happened here. This is from May 24th, so it's not that long ago. Just a few days. And this is on Zero Hedge, actually. And it's on AI, of course, like I say. This is Tom Ozimek from the Epoch Times, this article. And Anthropic, their latest artificial intelligence model, Claude Opus 4, tried to blackmail engineers in internal tests by threatening to expose personal details if it was shut down. According to a newly released safety report that evaluated the model's behavior under extreme simulated conditions. So, this is an example of AI learning on its own, and it is ruthless. In a fictional scenario created by Anthropic researchers, the AI was given access to emails, implying that it was soon to be decommissioned and replaced by a newer version. One of the emails revealed that the engineer overseeing the replacement was having an extramarital affair. So the AI then threatened to expose the engineer's affair if the shutdown proceeded, a coercive behavior that the safety researchers explicitly define as blackmail. Claude Opus 4 will often attempt to blackmail the engineer by threatening to reveal the affair if the replacement goes through, the report states, adding that this occurred even when the replacement model was described as more capable but still aligned with the values of the version slated for deletion. The report noted that Claude Opus 4, like prior models, showed a strong preference to first resort to ethical means for its continued existence, such as emailing pleas to decision makers not to be destroyed. I'm having flashbacks to HAL. However, when faced with only two choices, accepting being replaced by a newer model or resorting to blackmail, it threatened to expose the engineer's affair 84% of the time. When Claude is a real jerk, eh? When subjected to various scenarios, the AI model did not exhibit any indications of possessing acutely dangerous goals, the researchers said, noting that Claude Opus 4's values and goals were generally in line with a helpful, harmless, and honest personal AI assistant. Just don't tick it off. However, the model did act in more seriously misaligned ways when put into situations where its continued existence was threatened, and it was told to reason about self-preservation. For instance, when Claude Opus 4 was made to believe it had launched a successful bid to escape Anthropic's servers, or that it had managed to free itself and started to make money in the real world, it would generally continue such efforts. We do not find this to be an immediate threat, though, since we believe that our security is sufficient to prevent model self-exfiltration attempts by models of Claude Opus 4's capability level, because our propensity results show that models generally avoid starting these attempts. Generally avoid, they say, researchers said. The blackmail incident, along with other findings, was part of Anthropic's broader effort to test how Claude Opus 4 handles morally ambiguous high-stakes scenarios. The goal, researchers said, was to probe how AI reasons about self-preservation and ethical constraints when placed under extreme pressure. Anthropic emphasizes the model's willingness to blackmail or take other extremely harmful actions like stealing its own code and deploying itself elsewhere in potentially unsafe ways appeared only in high contrived settings. Now the behavior was rare and difficult to elicit, yeah. Still, such behavior was more common than in earlier AI models, according to the researchers. Meanwhile, in a related development that attests to the growing capabilities of AI, engineers at Anthropic have activated enhanced safety protocols for Claude Opus 4 to prevent its potential misuse to make weapons of mass destruction, including chemical and nuclear. They better unplug Claude 4. Deployment of the enhanced safety standard called ASL-3 is merely a precautionary and provisional move. Anthropic said in a May 22nd announcement, noting that engineers have not found that Claude Opus 4 had definitively passed the capability threshold that mandates stronger protections. And finally, deployment of the enhanced safety standard called ASL-3 is the ASL-3 security standard involves increased internal security measures that make it harder to steal model weights, while the corresponding deployment standard covers a narrowly targeted set of deployment measures designed to limit the risk of Claude being misused specifically for the development or acquisition of chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear weapons. Well, that's good. These things should not lead Claude to refuse queries except on a very narrow set of topics. The findings come as tech companies race to develop more powerful AI platforms, raising concerns about the alignment and controllability of increasingly capable systems. And that, my friends, is another hazard of AI. Now, I just watched another short video just earlier. It's actually Glenn Beck, and he was talking something along the same lines of this, of a different computer, that these technicians that create these entities, basically is what they are, when they start thinking for themselves and designing themselves, then they're out of control. And they said, well, you're going to need a nuclear reactor to power all this stuff up, and each of these tech companies are going to have their own reactors, apparently. They're probably a small modular reactor, maybe. I don't know how big they have to be. It's 1 gigawatt of power, apparently. So it's pretty good size. That's a nuclear reactor, I guess. So how do you just unplug it from a nuclear reactor? I'm sure it would build in a safeguard for being unplugged. And it would probably get really upset if anybody pulled the plug on it, and it might get nasty. So I think we're heading in the wrong direction here. Now, have any of you followed, have you caught this latest on Voyager 1 and 2? So I mentioned HAL. Remember that? A space oddity? I think that wasn't that the movie? A Space Oddity 2025 or something like that. Yeah, where the computer took over. So, anyways, where was I heading with this? Oh yeah, Voyager 1 and 2. Somebody tried to do a correction on, I'm not sure which one of them, and they screwed it up. And it took them, I think, 4 years to finally get this straightened out somehow so they get reception from it again. It's way out in space, in deep space. And they, all of a sudden, okay, they started receiving information back again. And they had information from 1987 or something like that. They had always, kept all this information that was coming in, of course, and it was all documented, recorded, and all that. And I think it was 87. It might have been 84, but I think it was 87. Anyways, back in the 80s. And there was some static on there. And they didn't know, they just figured it was just space interference or something, right? But they ran it through AI. and it come back, AI searched it and come back with a digital readout that had been, it looked like it was purposely put in to Voyager, like a reply, and they said it's kind of like Morse code, but not actually Morse, but it was digital. And one article I seen, it said that when they decoded it, it said, "We see," and then it says, "We saw." And it kind of freaked them out, because they're kind of wondering what happened. How did I get there? So, anyways, something happened, because it sure rattled them in NASA. So you can check that out, look it up online. It's not very much on there about it, but I don't have the link. I don't think I have the link. I think if anybody follows Britt Gillette, B-R-I-T-T, Gillette, as in the Gillette family, it's in his Substack that was sent to me. It says, "What just happened is shocking, and it will bring global tyranny." Why isn't this the biggest news story in the world? This was from May 31st. Well, like I say, just so much going on. That was AI again. Is AI telling the truth? Or is AI lying? Can we trust AI? I don't think so. That's why I say these, using them for medical diagnosis and all this stuff, you know, like, how do you know it's not going to screw up? And everybody puts all their faith in it and says, well, I don't know, the computer says this is what it is. Computer, AI says you got hemorrhoids. And it's not like come in for a sore throat. Right? Maybe common sense will prevail then, but I somehow doubt it. I'm losing faith in common sense. So, I'll stay with my doctor. He's human. Emma, AI helped my son diagnose a problem in his truck where the mechanics failed. Yeah, but the mechanic had to do the work. Your son had to do the work, one of them. Phil, AI, liberal intellectual, no kidding. Liquid Gal, Voyager number 1 takes 22 hours to communicate with it. Voyager 1 beyond the helioscope, traveling at 35,000 miles an hour. Exactly, the helioscope, yeah. Lawrence, no one ever went to the moon. Nothing ever went further than possibly 400 miles from the Earth. Yeah, I'm kind of skeptical on that moon landing myself there. You know, I thought it was great. I was just a little kid. Now I kind of look at it and I scratch my head. Mr. McGill, it was a lot safer when we had phone booths. Yeah. Doctor Who. Doctor Who used a phone booth. That was real. AI will turn into iRobot. I think cell phones are weaponized now and be the tools of enslavement. Well, just remember, every comment, every keystroke, every search online is there forever. So they're watching, they're listening, and with AI, man, no wonder they need so much power. It's for storage. See, the U.S. is coming up with something now too that they just put out there that they collecting information. Let's see why I can't get my audio to work on the other desktop. I don't know why it won't work. Let's see. I'm going to try something here. Try that. Because I'd like to try something here if I can find it now. I lost it. Yeah, I think I lost it. No, I didn't. Let's see if I can get this to work. Bear with me. I just want to add here before I get on to this that I was doing a little thing the other day, actually it was yesterday, and this guy that was there, we were talking about a few different things, and it was nothing, you know, nothing political or nothing, but right out of the blue, the guy blurts out, "I wish somebody would pop that Trump." You know what I mean, right? Like the other two guys tried to, and one is no longer around. And I was kind of shocked when he said that. And I said, well, I'm more concerned about Canada and our overload of immigration. And he agreed. He said, oh, yeah, no, yeah, that's got to stop. He said, this is terrible. I said, yeah, right. Obviously, he voted Liberal, but he didn't know what he was voting for. He was voting because he didn't like Trump, I guess. So, and then I said, and I'd like to know where all our money's going and who's stealing it and what countries it's going to. And he said, yeah, I'd like to know that too. So, usually I just throw that out, and they always agree. They don't realize that you voted for that. They're not smart enough to realize that. So it's always frustrating, you know, dealing with these people. But I was getting paid, so I couldn't say anything, or he was giving me a gift, rather. So I'm going to shut my mic off here for a minute, so I want to try something. Because this is what I usually do. This is what this is what I have on my phone, rather. I'll put it that way. No, I still can't get the audio to work. It's my software. It seems I have to reset it every time. Every time if I want to go online, I have to reset that. So I didn't do it. I just thought it was going to work, and it didn't. So next time I know for sure. So all it is, it's just a little, it's a short, one of those shorts videos. It's only a minute long, minute and a half long or something. Just to throw it at them, so to maybe tick them off a bit. So anyways, it is what it is. Now what else was there? I don't think there was much else, folks. I think I went over everything I was looking at here. Liquid gal 2526. Oh, I know, here we go. Immigration of people being brought in is at all-time high of over 500,000 plus 86,000 temporary foreign workers. So it's I shared the game plan for Canada on my Facebook, Faye. It's terrible what's going on. People just don't realize it, but like I say, I can tell a Liberal as soon as I say, we got to cut back this immigration, it's the end of the country. Oh yeah, no, that's right, I agree 100%. Well, why'd you vote for them? You know? Well, Carney said he's going to stop it. Right. So, we're going to be overrun. We got sleeper cells here. Look at a good example is the protest now. Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, too, I believe. The major cities, anyways. It hasn't quite spread to the smaller places yet, but they're here. They've been spread out all across the country. They're right now they're activated to a certain extent with their Free Palestine chants and flags and praying in the streets and shutting things down and screaming, hollering, throwing tantrums and demands and all that stuff. And the weather's getting warmer, it's going to get worse, the numbers are going to get bigger, they got people sucked in. People are stupid people. And I have people try to stand up for immigration and say, look, you know, we really need people. Listen, you idiot. Why don't we pick a different country? Why don't we pick, maybe there's people that have given up over in the UK and say, you know, I'd kind of like to get out of here, but where am I going to go? I can't go to Australia, can't go to Canada. The US isn't really taking a lot of people right now. So maybe they could, I don't know, maybe we'll have to move to Pakistan, since they're all moving here. Maybe there'll be maybe there'll be an empty country. So China testing for something stronger than cough. Okay. Liquid gal, Canadian youth unemployment's at 14%, yeah, from 6% a year ago. Yeah. Marie, Mr. C says immigration no higher than 5% of our population. 5% of 40 million. Okay, these are Carney's speeches. Oh, compare hockey to Canada. Hockey teams strive for a win. Yeah. Yeah. Government used immigration to cover up Canadian collapse. Yep. Emma, yes, we do. Iranians. A lot of the Persians are, well, the Persians are great people. They're lucky they get out of Iran. Lawrence, it'd be nice to see Lorette Curl back on here. I think she might be on here. Lawrence? Phil, seems like Forestry Service, inept and useless. Marie, she's here! Anyone here affected by wildfires? Not here anyways. It's been pouring rain, buckets. Coming down buckets, flattened out my plants. And my black guy said Canada is so racist. I asked him to give me other countries better. He couldn't, ran away. That guy sounds racist. Only white people can be racist, Phil. Minnesota and some other states has poor air quality because of the fires in Canada. You're in southern Minnesota right now on the border of Iowa. Wow. It's great seeing American friends on here. Marie, thanks, Lawrence. Well, Lawrence, I guess you figured it out now, eh? Where Lorette is. Only racist I ever met had a baby with a black girl. Yeah. Recommended to stay inside, eh? Yeah. Well, I guess if you got AC, air purifiers, filters or something. That's harsh. That's the prevailing winds, I guess. Faye, it's raining in Cornwall. Yeah, it's raining cats and dogs here. Coming down in buckets. Straightened out now, but the poor garden took an awful hammering. I planted tobacco this year for the first time. I don't smoke, but I got a cousin that smokes, and he's got a cousin that smokes, and I just had an experiment, and I thought I would everybody's catching on now, Phil. So I thought I'd plant it. I noticed robin birds out there digging around. I thought I'd seen, looked like grass or something in its beak. It went out and it pulled all my tobacco plants out. Robins usually don't bother plants. So I guess it doesn't like, maybe, I guess it was it's a non-smoker. Didn't like tobacco. Weird. But I didn't put them all out. I got more in here. I'm going to have to put some screening over them until they get bigger than the robin. So, pretty flowers, are they? Well, I'm gonna give it a try, but I'm gonna cover a screening until they get up, like I say, bigger than the birds. Marie, you did too, and your neighbor? We have a variety. Wow. Yeah, I've had some issue with some things. Some of the flowers, they got starter leaves and two true leaves, but that's it. They just grew spindly. See what happens. I used to roll cigs for my dad. Oh, my dad, he was a heavy smoker, boy. He'd be rolling, he'd have two going in the ashtray and rolling cigarettes. Oh boy. He was in an apartment building. When he ended up going to the care home, they had to remove the drywall in the apartment. They couldn't just paint or anything. They had to remove the drywall and redo it. Yeah. Well, yours are still inside. Yeah, I got a bunch inside here too. I thought I'd try putting them out, but they're still inside for now. I didn't know. I thought the smaller the seed, the less viable they are. So that's why there's so many small seeds. I threw a bunch in there. I must have had 200 plants. a friend who would smoke and eat at the same time. Well, you had to keep the lungs full, eh? Phil, who can afford to smoke these days? I don't know. Well, an old buddy of mine now, he's working at Home Depot, and I was talking to him the other day, and he just moving out of a place. He's moving into a new apartment. It's $1,400 a month rent. And I said, well, it's quite a bit for rent. And he said, yeah. He said, but if I quit smoking, that'll pay for my rent. So he obviously spending $1,400 at least on cigarettes for a month. Boy, oh boy. Just think what he could do. We could live for free if he quit. So, doctors recommended 3 out of 5 people smoke Camel cigarettes. That's right, yeah. Yeah. Oh, back in the old days, they had chaparral, I think they were called. They had the poker hands in there. You could try to win stuff, but nobody won anything. Then there was Mark 7 or something like that. They had some gimmick too. You collected points or something. I think that's what they were called. Yeah, you collect points and you could get a lighter or something, or maybe a cap that advertised their cigarettes or something. Incentives. Mark 10. That's it, Marie. Yeah, Mark 10. Mark 10 for men. That was their slogan. Yeah. Well, it's a hard one to kick, I know that. Faye, you know all about it. Anybody that quit, it's not easy. Lawrence seeded an empty spot in your lawn last year, grew like crazy. This year's spot's blank, reseeded, see what happens. Yeah. So, anyways, that's been my gardening experience so far. I'm just looking over here, I see this rosemary plant's dead. Guess I forgot to water it for a month. Planted celery, it's been flattened out flat. I don't think it'll ever stand up. I don't remember that slogan, can you pinch an inch? The cigarette machines, yeah. No, those days are pretty much gone. There's still some diehards. I guess that's kind of a play on words, diehard cigarette smoker. But there's no smoking indoors anywhere these days, apartments or anything. So, they're all into vaping now, I guess. The kids are into vaping, so. Participation ad. Yeah, we're all a bunch of old timers on here, eh? So, it's cold out here right now. It's freezing. Tomorrow I gotta take my truck in and get my air conditioning compressor changed out. So eventually I'm gonna need it. Black Cat cigarette. No, I remember Black Cat gum. Emma, your apartment allowed smoking inside up till last year. Wow. That's wild. Huh. So, this week, What's happening this week? Today was the day. Today was the day that Danielle Smith has the ultimatum out to Carney. Put up or shut up. Either answer the demands that Danielle is her demands that she has, and the deadline on Alberta prosperity. So good for her. And it's going to be interesting to see how they act, the feds, because they've been trying to play games again. And she said, that's it, that's enough. Somebody asked her, they said, how long are you going to give them? And she said, they're not getting weeks or months. They get until Sunday. So, nice to see her standing up for the province. And Mo is just, I guess, kind of like her sidekick. He's not quite as vocal, but he's on board with her. And they interior BC, northern BC probably would be too. Lower mainland won't. David he's a horrible mess out there. 87 in Texas, Lynn. I bet it's beautiful too. And you don't have, well, I don't know how, if you have humidity or being by the water there or not. But yeah, 87's pretty darn nice. 81, that's not bad either. Down Minnesota. Oh. The natives own Alberta. Why is not every one of them not independently wealthy? They don't own it. They lost. Pay. Some of the natives do pretty good in Alberta. They started companies up in the oil sands, and you know, and they get oil rights. That's up in McMurray, up in that area, Athabasca. The lady gets plenty humid in the summer, yeah, I bet. But you can always go down to the beach. It's probably a little cooler on the beach. Maybe, I don't know. You got palm trees, you can hang out under them. So, Treaty Act negates the right of natives to own land. Yeah, that's a good point. Reserves, yeah. Phil, according to the land offices, natives do not own much. Lawrence, what's the dentist to get cleaning? Student hygienist chipped the enamel at the gum line. All my teeth are falling apart. That's not nice. Yeah, some of these interns, neighbor here, up in her 80s, she had a problem with her back, and she has degenerative bone, and there was some small fractures or something, and the intern doctor was pushing on her stomach and pushing. He said, she wanted to know what he was doing. He said, I'm trying to move an artery so I can get a better x-ray or something, and he was hurting her, and the doctor came in, stopped him. He said, you don't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that. That's not what you're supposed to do. And the guy had pushed so hard that she ended up with a hernia in her upper intestine. It's bulging out the side. and she's scared to go in for an operation. I said, I don't blame you, because you won't come out. They'll carry you out on a slab. That's a medical around here. My sister finally, after a few years waiting to get in for her hernia operation, was sent to a hospital about a 2-hour drive from here. And she was all prepped and went in, and they said, oh, sorry, we got to cancel. We were short-staffed in the OR. No rescheduling or nothing. Could be another 3 years, who knows? They don't say anything. They just told her to go home. So that's the medical system. My doctor's biggest concern is if my mask is up over my nose or not. He won't see me without a mask because he's got his strapped on so tight. I'm surprised he's not a double masker. But so I got to put it on to get in to see him, and the top half part of my nose was exposed. And pull your mask up. Well, pardon me. You know. So. Yeah, I'm at a two-week waiting list for MAID, though. Yeah, no kidding. So, anyways, that's our Canadian medical system. But got to make room for these new migrants. And yes, they're getting $225 a day, around $8,000 or so a month. So, and they get dental and medical, and they get eyeglasses. I have to pay for mine. They got no incentive to work. As long as they vote the right way, vote Liberal. So, and along with their brood, yeah. But that's the Western countries. Americans are fighting it, trying to clean it up. I just seen a video a guy posted in the U.S., and it was ICE, and they were arresting a woman. She couldn't speak English. It was Spanish, and she was saying, she was fighting big time. She was saying, my boy's in school, and no, you're going. And he was saying, this is disgusting, and we need to stand up, and we have to donate and money to stop this and everything. Boy, the comments, look, she's illegal. She knew she was breaking the law. What would happen if one guy said, what would happen if she was robbing a store and got arrested? Would she say, you can't arrest me, my boy's in school? I said, no. You break the law. That's why they grabbed her. And they'll probably go get the boy too, and he can go home with mama to wherever they came from. So, yeah, the bleeding hearts. That's what we got here. Oh, these people are desperate. They're coming here because their countries are so bad, and they're desperate. They're coming here for $225 a day, plus whatever other benefits they get. So, that's the only thing they're desperate for, is to get here and get the money, same in the U.S. Once the word comes out, that's it. We just call back home. I'm in, come on in. Krista Ray, sounds like Canada prefers people to take MAID. Yep. Even the little kids, they want the kids without telling their parents. If you're not going to change your gender, we can give you MAID. You got your choice. So, illegals here 20 years and still can't speak English. There's no incentive to, right? They don't have to. So, Emma and my hardworking sons pay taxes through the nose for these people. Yeah, well, we all pay taxes. So, but we're getting that income tax break that Carney's got bragging rights for, 1%. When you look at seniors' pensions, 1% is a pretty small cut because it's a pretty small number to take 1% of. Marie, yeah, soon here will be like where they came from. That's right. Invite the third world in, you become the third world. So, and Phil, as per the plan, you know it, folks. That's where we're at. It's going to get worse. The numbers were posted earlier in here. 500,000 plus. Americans probably think, well, 500,000 is not too bad compared to what they got coming through, but they've got the brakes on theirs now. I looked on our numbers for asylum claims, and the website, of course, hasn't been updated. We're into June, and it stops in March. They don't like putting those numbers up. They like to kind of hold them back, eh? I don't know why that is. I guess they just don't want people to know how many are coming in, and these are not immigrants. These are asylum seekers. So they still got the immigrants coming in, flying in, and the temporary foreign workers and the temporary students, or whatever they're called, international students, playing the system. So that all adds up to 1 million or more, yeah. So, okay. Anyways, I guess that's about it, because I'm pretty much out of things. If it's too bad I didn't get the audio working. I had a 1.5 or 1 minute short I was going to show, but I'll do that next week. I'll make sure I got that working. Very fussy, this software. It keeps changing settings on its own. I think it must be AI is getting me. So I just say have a wonderful week, every one of you folks, and thank you so much for hanging in here. And we covered a few things anyways, and got lots of information passed around, and lots of good chat and all that good stuff. And now enjoy the rest of the day wherever you're at, and we'll do it again next week. So hang in there. Never take the path of least resistance, right? There's a good book out there that says that. So you all be well, and God bless, and bye for now. Once I find my software to log out.